Welcome to LFN News, a production of LFN Media, bringing you the latest in celebrity news, with specific analysis to keep you in the know of what is going on around you. The conclusion of R. Kelly's Chicago case and a mixed verdict is confirmation that this was a complex trial, much more different from the related 2008 trial and his New York trial. With a total of 13 counts spread across 3 co-defendants, the trial proved to be one like no other for R. Kelly and his legal team. Although the trial started off on a rather low note, at the knowledge of the glaring fact that the central witness in R. Kelly's related case in 2008, Jane, had started cooperating with prosecution and was inevitably expected to testify against Kelly, the verdict clearly places R. Kelly in the victor's seat as we speak. The impeccable performance of R. Kelly's legal team led by lead attorney Jennifer Bonjean actually paved way for success in R. Kelly's upcoming trials, with specific focus on the RICO charge in R. Kelly's New York trial, which, according to Bonjean, was explored by prosecution only as a bid to have R. Kelly behind bars for almost equivalent to life. It should be noted that the RICO charge against R. Kelly in the New York trial was merely brought in by the far-reaching hand of prosecution, to simply manipulate the trial, seeking to have R. Kelly charged for a long enough period, making it greatly dependent on proof that R. Kelly worked with other members of his team in committing these allegations. Now, with the Chicago trial jury finding both McDavid and Milton June Brown not guilty on all the counts against them, the New York RICO charges start looking more like a vendetta by the feds, to merely have R. Kelly charged of allegations he had no hand in. Although we can give some credit to the attorneys of both co-defendants, we also ought to acknowledge that it was evident that there was no way whatsoever prosecution was ever going to be able to build a case around the ever-changing testimonies of their key witnesses in this matter. Bonjean has always been vocal about her frustration learning of the RICO charges against her client by prosecution. During a post-sentencing press conference, Bonjean spoke about appealing the charge, saying that there was no evidence to support that her client was a part of an enterprise, and called the charge completely inappropriate. These were not a RICO Act violation, Bonjean stressed. These were isolated events that happened many years ago, and the government simply tried to plead around the statute of limitations to bring in a RICO charge, which was completely inappropriate. She continued, saying, "All I can tell you is there was no enterprise. There was no enterprise. It was one man with allegations by a number of women, which doesn't make it an enterprise, and that is why he's not guilty of racketeering," she lamented. She added that she was excited about the appeal, and confident that their appeal would persuade the Court of Appeals to dismiss the charge. "I'm sure prosecution can now comprehend and fully make sense of what Bonjean was trying to stress then, and they must be currently struggling to come up with a plan B now, in time for the appeal, evidently too late into the game." The criminal charges that R. Kelly was convicted of in the New York trial included 1 count of racketeering and 8 violations of the Mann Act. The RICO Act was used in the alleged racketeering charge. Although racketeering is a charge often associated with organized crime, it can as well be applied to any ongoing, coordinated illegal scheme or criminal enterprise to carry out a common purpose. In R. Kelly's case, prosecutors argued Mr. Kelly and his inner circle worked for more than 2 decades, in multiple states to promote the singer's brand, and also allegedly recruit different individuals for exploitation, and to supposedly produce inappropriate content. Really? But then, RICO was not designed as a means to punish a single individual for his own wrongful actions. It was therefore clear that RICO was only being used in this case in an effort to subvert various statutes of limitations relevant to the case. Concerns had also been raised about the indictment's complete silence regarding members of the entourage, said to have furthered the alleged enterprise, and the equally damning silence on how these could have benefited from R. Kelly's actions. Prosecutors in the New York case must have assumed a ray of light in addressing all these concerns when a joint trial in Chicago came to light, but their hopes must now be shuttered after learning of news of the acquittal of the 2 co-defendants. Bonjean said New York prosecutors improperly presented an overabundance of bad character testimony from a parade of witnesses that overwhelmed the jury with salacious information about Kelly's habits, but had little or nothing to do with the racketeering charge he was facing. The implied bad character was equally trashed in the Chicago trial, with most testimonies surprisingly revealing that R. Kelly actually kept mutual relationships with all his past relationships, a clear sign he had not abused them. Who in their right mind would maintain a close friendship with their abusers to the point of attending their parties? One should wonder. R. Kelly fans all over the globe have also started exhibiting much optimism towards the upcoming New York appeal, in light of the largely positive verdict in Chicago. Brenda says, "It is indeed great news to learn that the narrative about R. Kelly is now steadily changing for the better, and that the public is now getting a chance to see him for who he really is, beyond what the feds, supported by social media and other corrupted media like Lifetime, had created. R. Kelly is a fine, loving man that was victimized for his big heart by his own apprentices and colleagues. It's equally absurd to learn that the government used his kindness to incriminate him at all costs, riding on the lies of many that had crafted individual plans to extort him of his monies. Indeed, R. Kelly was merely a victim of the normal superstar problems that almost everyone with fame and money goes through, but for the feds to ride on this and plan to take him away for a long time, that's totally overboard. What makes his case a little different, however, is the fact that he never really was a successful, famous musician, but also black. Now that the world has managed to see how different R. Kelly is from the man portrayed in the infamous Surviving in R. Kelly." Nicole says, "I personally welcomed the news of the R. Kelly Chicago trial verdict with pomp. Winning 7 out of 13 counts was phenomenal, and most definitely a big achievement by the R. Kelly team in Chicago. This shows you that the guilty verdicts can easily be appealed to have R. Kelly gain his well-deserved full freedom. The most exciting news was that about the acquittal of R. Kelly's 2 co-defendants, McDavid and Milton June Brown, which confirms that the government's decision to charge Kelly on RICO charges in New York was sheer malice. This gives us much hope in R. Kelly's appeal, since once the RICO charges are dropped and out of the way, the few remaining charges can always be tackled individually. We should all be thankful to Bonjean and her team for their exceptional performance in the Chicago trial, despite all the prejudice that the presiding judge portrayed. They have indeed set a good ground for the upcoming appeals. I honestly just can't wait to follow up the New York appeal and see R. Kelly earn his well-deserved freedom back." That's all we had for you today. Please let us know in the comment section below if you too feel that the RICO charges have now been thrown out the window. We value your honest opinion. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification icon. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.